Oh, thank you. Santa Fe Recovery. That's amazing. My good friends from Santa Fe Recovery, I miss you this year, but I'll see you next year for sure. Mayor Weber, thank you so much for your amazing words. And Davino, that music was really very powerful. Thank you so much. Next up, Superhealth, with some tips for you to stay healthy and centered and wise. There's a lot that we can do for ourselves and for each other. We just have to learn a few tips.
Hello, my name is Mukta Khalsa, and I am the director of Superhealth. So first, I want to say that this is Recovery Month, and I would like to congratulate each and every one of you who may be in recovery yourself. It is a major accomplishment, and I completely understand what that means and how important that is. So a very deep, sincere, heartfelt congratulations to each and every one of you. Awesome. Okay, so I am with a program called Superhealth. And what that is, it's a more holistic, complete approach, physically, mentally, and spiritually, to addictive behavior. And that also includes substances as well as how we act, how we behave, and any kind of breaking of destructive habits. So we are here in Espanola, New Mexico, and that's where our headquarters. Superhealth is basically an education and training system. Many years ago, we ran a residential environment for people that were coming off substances. And so I've had a lot of experience with clinically working with it, and now as a trainer and in education as well. So how it works, basically, it's a real transformation. It's a full, complete process, physically, mentally, and spiritually in balance. And we find that when one of those aspects are out of alignment is very often when it leaves a gap for problems to get in there. And many times, a lot of the imprinting of the way we behave, the way we think, begins in childhood. We are born intuitive and intelligent, very sensitive, and they pick up on things very quickly. You may think that they're not noticing, they're just infants. They sense, they feel. And if their cries sometime are very direct communication, if that's not really being addressed in a sensitive way, they may interpret it as maybe rejection, or maybe they feel isolated, they feel fearful. If they're crying and they're not being responded to, or they're slapped, they're getting messages and they're coming to conclusions. And so it begins to set a pattern in our brain about our reality and how we think. And again, if it's not positive and with self-confidence, with self-worth, with dignity, they may feel rejected, where they feel like they have to put a mask on and cover it up. Again, all this can be reprogrammed and changed, and that's the beauty of what we offer, is whatever condition or situation a person has, and believe me, we all have something going, but whatever that is, it can be reprogrammed. So it's the physical aspect. We can strengthen that nervous system many times that has gotten handicapped through the use of alcohol or drugs, or even, junk food that's not really healthy. It taxes our system. And then the yoga gives us the ability to actually carry it out, to actually do it. Not just to know what to do, but to actually do it. So it's the body, mind working together. And then you have your spirit. Your spirit is like your vivaciousness, your love of life. We call it prana. Prana is your breath, the breath of life. Your first priority is your relationship to the one who gives you the breath of life, the gift that each one of us has right now, each and every moment. And so we also then, you may say spirit is just simply developing an attitude of gratitude, an attitude of grace, that we remember to be thankful. And that's what we call spiritual. And as I use the word remember, it's that conscious effort to come out of the sleep, the stupor that many of us are in for years and years and years. It's like when we get hurt, remember as that child growing, we begin to shut down and we want to numb ourselves. And once we come to that conclusion, let me just go numb because this is too painful, then there are many, many ways to go numb. And so you come out of that numbness in your recovery. And that's when you have that grateful attitude, and anything is possible at that point. So it's physically, mentally, and spiritually. Then we have the component of nutrition, of food. You are what you eat. It's very true. And also, not only what you eat, but how you eat is going to affect how you feel. Many times people never really relate the two. And so if they're eating a lot of heavy sweets or just foods that are heavily processed, the food is actually taking away their energy. It's making them more tired. The food is very maybe empty calorie or, empty nutrition with a lot of calories and a lot of carbs, but they feel so heavy after they eat. And so that's something that we need to take a look at. Food is to give us life. And so many times whole fruits and vegetables, organic if possible, and whole grains are excellent, and of course our protein with nuts and cheeses and dairy products. So just to even begin to, you think, well, where do I start? Just to start incorporating good things. And the easiest place to start is water. Drink, drink, drink. Whatever water you're drinking, I guarantee, let's drink more. We need at least 2 liters a day of water. Water, think of it, it's like an irrigation system. We do have toxins in our system. The foods that we eat are not perfect, 100% all the time, perfectly organic, perfectly healthy. We do have toxins. And so what the irrigation system, it allows the toxins to move through the body and then eliminate out of the system. And it also is a mood regulator. Many times if we're feeling emotional or commotional in our mind, the water will help to regulate that. It'll help to calm you down and to regulate that. So drink as much water, have always some kind of a container with you, and drink as much water as you remember to drink. It'll be wonderful, and you'll see, you'll feel good. So what are we saying in summary? We're saying physically, mentally, and spiritually, and that nutrition is an important aspect of that. The breath is your breath of life. Your breath is your life force, your vitality. And this is what Superhealth signifies. We help train people, people really just like yourself, people that are either practitioners of either in the healthcare field, people that are in recovery. We call it from recovery to self-discovery. So recovery is great, no small thing. It's a major accomplishment in your life. And then there's the whole self-discovery, the whole transformation. It's like, what else? What else can I do? What else can I strive for to be even a better and more crystallized human being, and crystallized even in my consciousness, the ability to be a giver, the ability to sacrifice, the ability to even be firm, steady, stable, consolidated, and to know who you are. Each one of us must know who we are. And once we get to that place, we don't need to convince anybody of our worth. Our presence speaks for ourselves. And so there's always more and more to crystallize ourselves and to enhance and enrich ourselves and to become better and better and better human beings in that process of transformation. So it becomes quite exciting. And it's never ending. No matter where we're at, it's never ending. We could always do more and understand more and have that divine radiance. So what I would like to share with you, if you're willing, is just take a few moments of your time and give you a direct experience yourself. Otherwise, it's just me saying these words, but what I prefer is that for you to actually do it. I have 3 minutes of your time if you would kindly give that to me. Otherwise, you could just watch or just listen. It's fine. And then you will know. This meditation helps to overcome anxiety, confusion, and commotions of the mind through conscious breathing. It connects us with our inner selves and allows us to experience a power greater than ourselves. This will positively affect our state of mind. So, how we're going to do it is your right hand is your positive polarity, your left hand is your negative polarity, and together at the heart center, they have a calming, neutralizing effect on the body. Okay, so your eyes are going to be closed, and all we're going to do is inhale through the nose 4 equal sniffs like this. Okay, and then exhale in 4 equal sniffs out. The breath is going to go out. So first let's inhale 4 equal sniffs, and then we're going to exhale. All right, just as a try. Here we go. Okay, so 4 equal sniffs in. Pause for a moment. 4 equal sniffs out. At the same time, we're going to be pulling on each sniff the navel point. The navel point is the center of your being. It's the connection of life before birth. 72,000 nerve endings are located at the navel point. All right, so keep your hands at the heart center. You're going to close your eyes. Let us begin. Just move the navel on the inhale. And now inhale deeply, inhale, and press your palms together with maximum force. Press, 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 press. And now exhale. Relax your breath. Stay with me, stay with me. And now inhale deeply, deep, deep inhale. Press the palms together with maximum force. Press. And exhale, exhale. And now breathe normally. And slowly relax your hands. And just sit with yourself for a moment. Feel peaceful, feel calm. Let nothing disturb your peace. Peace within and peace projected without. Okay, so you could see there's so much we could do. And actually, what I wanted to share with you is we will be providing a link for you to be able to freely download some of the portions of this book with nutritional tips, with breath exercises, meditations. It's called Meditations for Times of Crisis. Okay, so you will be receiving, have access to that free download link. So feel free to do that and take a look and see. I think the water is in there as well, and a lot of absolutely wonderful, wonderful tips and things to do and just to start out. So it's been an absolute pleasure being with you today. And remember, we're right here in New Mexico. We provide trainings. For those of you who are familiar with continuing education units, our trainings are CEU approved. And actually, we have a training coming up in the early part of, October for 3 weekends. But we will be able to provide information for anyone who's interested with that as well. So, again, we are here as Superhealth, and a very, very hearty, wholesome congratulations. Thank you for coming today so that we could be together as a family. And may we always live in peace and truth and be healthy and happy. God bless.
Hi, my name is Tom. I'm a member of Narcotics Anonymous. You can't see my face because we are anonymous. And I want to tell you about NA because we're a vital community resource. So who are we? NA is a nonprofit international organization of recovering addicts. We're worldwide. We're a bunch of volunteers that we learn from each other how to live drug-free and recover. If you've considered recommending Narcotics Anonymous to anybody who has a drug problem, or you're considering it for your drug problem, you may have a few questions about our organization. So we're going to try to answer those questions in this presentation. So the first question is, why narcotics? Well, the reason is you have to go back to 1953. In that time, society used the term narcotics for all illegal substances. There wasn't a drug task force, there was the narco division. So we were termed narcotics, didn't matter what the drug was. And it still doesn't matter what the drug is. Anyone who wants to stop using drugs can become a member of Narcotics Anonymous. It's not limited to addicts of any particular drug. Anybody who feels they may have a problem with drugs, legal, illegal, including alcohol, are quite welcome in AA. Recovery focuses on the problem of addiction, not on any particular drug. So what do we provide? Meetings. There's almost 200 meetings across New Mexico, Four Corners, and El Paso. That's the local region here. Now, most of these are on Zoom right now, but if you're physical and outdoors, you can just connect electronically or walk in anonymously. We have hotlines 24/7, both statewide and local. You can find meeting information or talk peer-to-peer with another addict in recovery. There's also phone meetings. RioGrandeNA.org is our website with detailed information about all this. In addition to that, we take meetings into people who can't get out to meetings. That's recovery houses, treatment centers, jails, prisons, and we provide literature. There's NA basic text and other recovery books are for sale at cost. Information pamphlets are free, and those information pamphlets are also available for download and reprint if you would like. No worries about copyright. That's on na.org, and it's available in many different languages. We're working on one right now for the Dene language. NA meetings are the primary approach to recovery. We have a belief that the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. Peer-to-peer. Members take part in NA meetings by talking about their experiences in recovery from drug addiction. The more experienced members support the newer members, and so on. These are informally structured. You may find one meeting a fair amount different than another, so if you don't like the first one, go to a different one. And these are led by the members who are volunteers. In many cases, that volunteer who's leading the meeting is the first time they've been given a responsibility to lead anything in a long time. So we try to help in that respect. There is no charge at all. NA meetings and other services are funded entirely by member contributions and the sale of recovery literature. That's just the books. The pamphlets are free. And like all 12-step programs, financial contribution from non-members or grants or things like that are just not accepted. So does it work? You know, everybody wants to have numbers. How well does it work and measure? Our success is measured by our rate of growth. As of 2020, we now provide 76,075 meetings worldwide. That was in January. Our growth trend is straight up. We are continuing to expand all over the world. And we do a survey every couple years. It's just a voluntary one. And a moment about that survey. We believe in an anonymous program, you can't really get good representative sample. So we went for big numbers. This survey had not quite 30,000 people respond. And we think 30,000 members isn't anywhere near our total membership. It's anywhere from a few hundred thousand, possibly up to 1 million. We don't know. It's an anonymous program. But out of this survey that we did take, 55% rated their first NA meeting as important or very important. And how they got to that meeting was usually another NA member, but also treatment and counseling agencies. And of course, family would. And we're hoping that some of the treatment and counseling agencies that are listening to this would like to contact us about getting an NA meeting or sending clients to an NA meeting. Because we need meetings. The members surveyed averaged more than 2 meetings a week. I go to more than that. Now, some statistics on what our makeup is. If you look at a number of surveys over time, the percentage of females in Narcotics Anonymous is going up, and our numbers are going up. And in age, often the young people don't come into NA. We get a few. We're often considered the last house on the block. Very often people will come to Narcotics Anonymous having tried a number of other things, not done well, and do well in NA. We're not perfect, but we do have a pretty good average just looking at the widespread of people that we get in. We really suggest that people become productive members of society, and most of us do. So we have around 2/3 of people are employed full-time, some are part-time, some are retired. Many are students that are going back and recreating a new life. It's important not just to get clean, but to stay clean. This is a breakdown of years drug-free from the people who responded. Average years clean is more than 10 years. I've personally been clean for over 30. Narcotics Anonymous works. Areas of improvement. We couldn't possibly fit all the areas of improvement in 1 or even 20 slides. But a few of them that we talk about is we get families back. We make social connections. We actually have some hobbies and interests that are legal. We find stable housing. We're employed. We get educated. Now, Narcotics Anonymous cooperates with professionals. What we do is we welcome your clients to meetings. We provide presentations to you and to your clients. We have printed material, audiovisual, helplines, websites, and hotlines. You can get subscriptions to NA newsletters and literature that's very useful for client introduction. There are letters like Reaching Out that is written by people in institutions, that's prisons, and it's Addicts for Addicts. All of our literature has been written by an addict. There's no professionals in it. These are people that have been there. And again, there's no charge or fee to attend recovery meetings, and we never charge for an NA presentation. The benefits to the client, the big one is to get that transition back into the community is where we lose a lot of people. So we provide support while they're in treatment and correctional facilities and when they get out. That peer-based support network is a big deal. It's very common for somebody to come in and recognize somebody that they knew from the street in a meeting. That gives them a drug-free role model reinforcement. Another big important point in people staying clean. And, of course, for the professional, we have research that indicates that if they go to meetings, it improves the program retention. Recidivism goes down. That immediate access to aftercare support for free is a big deal to a lot of programs, and we're there for you. So, what about medically assisted treatment or drug replacement therapy? If somebody is on one of these, we really have no opinion about it. We don't have any opinion outside it. There's many, many ways to get recovery, and we really don't care how you go about it. The people coming in to our program, we do recommend complete abstinence from all substitution drugs, and we have extensive literature on this. Many, many of our members were once on methadone or Suboxone. They join NA and they get clean, although this takes some time. They aren't clean at first. They aren't clean for a while. We support them through this process, whether those drugs were medically assisted or not. We make no differentiation. Again, NA is reaching out to professionals and organizations to let them know their clients are welcome in NA. We have a pamphlet specifically for professionals. That's Narcotics Anonymous and persons receiving medication-assisted treatment. This is information for professionals about how this all works. And it clearly states abstinence is not a prerequisite for membership. A person simply needs the desire to stop using. Our message is that an addict, any addict, can stop using, lose the desire to use, and find a new way of life. And we've been doing it for many decades. Let me say, NA is just one of several options available. We don't make any claims that we're better or worse, because we're not. We just wish to be considered as one of your possible resources in the war against addiction. Addiction is killing people. Use every resource you can. Now, this eye chart is a list of the resources. Meetings that are around. That's not to say you should try to read this thing. You want to go to na.org and get the latest updated information. Meetings will move around. Certainly while they're on Zoom, they change the ID once in a while. Get the most up-to-date, accurate information. And there is hotlines, and we have, this is a list that gets sent out to a lot of folks. Now here's the one that you can read. Resources and contacts. There's NA World Service. Again, we're a worldwide organization, and you can go to na.org and get tremendous amounts of information, and it's all free. If you go to riograndena.org, you get the events and meeting schedules that are in your local area and around the region. There's various public relations information at that P.O. box. And we have 24/7 hotlines. These are the numbers that are there. And of course, you can email me. And again, those hotlines are staffed by addicts that have been there, and they're there to help. We really want to be of help. We we have all kinds of NA literature that we hope you can use. And again, these resources and contacts, because people are dying out there, and we're here to help you. Thanks.
And now we'd like to introduce you to the Department of Senior Affairs, an important agency offering services to our seniors. And we'd also like to introduce you to Valerie Valentine. She has a very powerful and raw story that she'd like to share with you. So we'll be introducing you to Valerie. She works with the Department of Senior Affairs. And I also want to remind you that the folks from the New Mexico Crisis and Access Line are there for you. I know it's a very difficult time right now. We know that substance use is on the rise. We know that suicide is on the rise. So please use the New Mexico Crisis and Access Line if you're hurting in any way. They're there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can reach them toll-free at 855-662-7474. That's 855-662-7474. Give them a call. They'll be there for you.
Hi everybody, my name is Agnes Vallejos and I'm the Division Manager for the Social Services Division of the Department of Senior Affairs. I'm here to tell you a little bit about our programs and what we do here in the city. But before I do that, I wanted to talk a little bit about how COVID affected our folks. So in social services at the Department of Senior Affairs, we have a number of programs. You'll learn more about those programs later. But what happened immediately when the pandemic happened, or when the pandemic hit, is that our information and assistance hotline, the phones just blew up. And what we discovered was not only was it just a number of new people calling, people that hadn't called us before, but these people, their safety net was fragile. We had folks that just that little tug of not being able to get to the grocery store that day put them over the edge. And so since the pandemic happened, we at the Department of Senior Affairs have really doubled our efforts in trying to reach folks. We're trying to get people to call us. So I'm so happy to be able to talk a little bit about what we do, give you our phone number, which is 764-6400. Whenever you have a question about anything senior services related, we want you to call. The other thing I wanted to kind of touch on as it relates to the COVID pandemic is, every year at Christmas, we do a donation drive, and we look for warm slippers or nice robes for folks that are isolated and maybe don't have families, so we can bring them some holiday cheer. This year we decided to do a donation drive when the pandemic hit, and I'm pleased to say citizens of Albuquerque showed up big time. Our team at Home Services was able to collect over $45,000 worth of food and supplies that we were able to then distribute to seniors here in our community and into Tajli, which is our neighbor to the west, who is still in need of donations, who still don't have access to clean drinking water right now. But again, it just shows how, through our department, we were able to be really connected to not just our people in the city of Albuquerque or Bernalillo County, but to our surrounding community. So let me tell you what happened during the pandemic. So since March, we've served over 300,000 meals. Most of those were home delivered meals, but about half and half were through our pickup and go sites that when we had to shut down our senior centers, we quickly pivoted and we continued to feed people. We stayed connected with folks. We had our care coordinators have made over 4,000, almost 5,000 wellness calls since March, just connecting with our frail and isolated seniors. Our senior companion volunteers have stayed ready to connect with their clients at least weekly, just checking in, making sure that they're doing okay. So we wanted to stay connected. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about the services that we provide at the Department of Senior Affairs Social Services Division. We have a Senior Corps, which is federally funded volunteer programs. So we have Senior Companions, which I mentioned earlier. We have Foster Grandparent Program, and we have the Retired and Senior Volunteer Program. You'll hear more from Maria Rico later about these programs, but they provide an inordinate amount of support in our community, and we're always looking for volunteers. The other side of our division has our information and assistance hotline. You'll hear from Cecilia Salazar, who is our program supervisor. The number there is 764-6400. You'll hear me say that number a lot of times because we want you to call that number whenever you have any questions about senior services in the area. Additionally, we have care coordination, which you'll hear from Bernadette Garcia Sanchez later. Our care coordinators help determine eligibility for other services for frail and isolated seniors. So it can be things like home delivered meals. It can be things like our home repair and retrofit program. It can also be things like needing assistance with filling out forms, or things like signing up for Medicare and helping, so the team of INA and care coordination work together to make sure that when you call, you're put in the right program and in the right system, and that we can help you get the resources that you need. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our third program, which is home services. Our home services team, prior to COVID, could do a little more because we could get into folks' homes. But because of COVID, we're taking a very cautious approach to how we work with seniors around their homes. So right now we're just doing outside kinds of things. We can do yard cleaning, we can do tree trimming, we can do things like building ramps and modifying steps. We can also provide seniors with unattached safety equipment. So things like shower chairs or tub transfer benches, things that are not permanently attached in the home because we can't go into the home, but we can help get safety equipment to seniors that need it. To be eligible for those services, it's pretty simple. You just have to be over 60 and reside in Bernalillo County. Some things require home ownership, but we can work with permissions around that. And most of our services for home, most of the activities in home services require a referral through our information and assistance hotline, 764-6400, or through our care coordinators, which you can also access through 764-6400. So that's a brief overview of our home services team and the services that they provide.
The City of Albuquerque Department of Senior Affairs sponsors all 3 Senior Corps programs. They are the Foster Grandparent Program, the Senior Companion Program, and RSVP, or the Retired and Senior Volunteer Programs. These programs have opportunities for individuals 55 and over who wish to remain active and engaged in the community. All 3 programs offer pre-service orientation and ongoing training, travel reimbursements, supplemental accident and liability insurance, and recognition events throughout the year. Foster grandparents serve as tutors and mentors to children with special and exceptional needs. Senior companions serve other seniors, mainly frail and homebound elderly. And RSVP volunteers serve in nonprofit organizations. They help to build their capacity. They also help other seniors with home-delivered meals and transportation. Income-eligible foster grandparents and senior companions earn a tax-free hourly stipend. On average, they serve about 20 hours per week. They receive daily meals or meal reimbursements. RSVP volunteers can choose how many hours or days that they want to serve in an area where they can make a difference. All 3 programs are enrolling now, and children, seniors, and organizations need help now more than ever. Join Senior Corps and help yourself while helping Albuquerque.
The City of Albuquerque Department of Senior Affairs Information and Assistance Program provides information and assistance to residents in the Bernalillo County area. Information and referral specialists can provide anything from food assistance, resources, to minor home repair through our internal case management program and other resources such as legal and other community-based programs. The information and referral specialists are also able to provide any Zoom meetings that we can schedule for any information on our department. If you would like more information or would like to receive resources and information through our information and assistance line, you can call us at 764-6400.
Department of Senior Affairs has a case management program which assists in the elderly for 60 and above. Our aim is to keep the individual independent and to enhance the quality of life. Case management goes into the homes. We arrange an assessment to see what those needs are. In the process, when that assessment is completed, we offer the consumer and the caregivers our following programs if they need it. We offer adult day for socialization and CR respite, caregiver respite. We also have the senior companion program for those that are limited in their support system. We offer the home delivered meal programs for those that are having difficulties preparing or has nobody to prepare their meals. We also offer homemaker. Homemaker is not the housekeeping part of it. We concentrate on the personal care with the homemaking part of that to assist. We also have respite program for the caregiver, which also concentrates on the personal care, then the caregiver can get away and get some respite. We also have our home services department, which will help with safety equipment, chores, repairs, anything that client might need to stay safe in their home. We also do Silver Alert for those for memory impaired. Once the assessment is done, the consumer and the caregiver is given their option, and we go from there. We not only assess for our programs in senior affairs, but we are a short-term program where we reach out into the community for long-term programs to carry on what we have started. We help with housing applications, LIHEAP applications. We work with adult protective services. We connect them with the long-term programs. In order to get into the case management program, you would require to call our intake number, 764-6400. At that time, when we receive the referral, it goes to case management. The case manager is assigned by zip codes. When we receive that referral, we have 3 working days in which to contact you and 10 working days in which to complete the entire process. We have a case manager that goes into the home. These are in-home assessments. We go into the home and complete the assessment. You must be 60 years of age. You must be homebound, which people assume homebound is they don't drive. Homebound is for those that require physical assistance to leave their home. The process is real easy. We're real friendly. We jump on the referral immediately.
So thank you guys for watching our video on the services that we provide at the Department of Senior Affairs. We hope that you'll call us whenever you have any needs around seniors, 764-6400. We look forward to meeting you and your senior.
My name is Valerie, and I am an alcoholic and an addict. I'm grateful to say I haven't used in almost 30 years. It'll be 30 years in December. The promises came true for me. I no longer have even the slightest desire. It took almost 15 years of slamming myself into a wall to get there. But I am grateful to be here. Yeah. There are some words in your life that will stay with you forever. I was fortunate enough when I got pregnant to be able to stop using. And I didn't pick up again until my daughter stopped nursing. But after she stopped nursing, I kind of wanted back in my husband's life, and I didn't really know how to proceed, and so the alcohol came back into my life. And on December 30th, 1990, I went out a night early, somehow made it home, woke up face down on my couch on December 31st, and a little bitty 2-year-old who wandered right up to the couch, and I flipped over my head and I'm looking straight into the eyes of my daughter, and she says, "Mommy sick?" I said, "Yeah, Mommy's sick." called a friend of mine who I was going to school with, and she had a sticker on her car. I'd been in and out of the rooms many times. I knew the stickers, I knew the slogans. So I called her and I said, I need some help. And she came over and she stayed with me the day. And she stayed with my daughter the night while I went to not my first AA meeting, but the one that stuck. And it was New Year's Eve. I crawled into that meeting lower than the mud on your feet and surrendered. And my life has been an incredible journey since then. I'm so grateful for AA, for recovery, for the healing power that we can't even comprehend. Yeah. So I got sober, and 6 months later, a port wine stain that had been on my left leg my whole life turned out to be endangering my life. I finally got a diagnosis that I had an arterial malformation that had grown to the point where there was no resistance for my heart and I was going into congestive heart failure. Okay, let's fix it. What do we have to do? Injections of pure grain alcohol. That's the only thing, the only way they treated it back then. They have glues now, it's a lot less painful. But I had a salty old doctor who called me in and diagnosed me, and he said, we're going to bring you in here, we're going to knock you down into the dirt. When you can get back up, we're going to bring you back in here. We have no idea how long this is going to take. We have never treated anything this large. And you may lose your legs, and you may be paralyzed. But we're going to fight for your life. If we don't get this out of you, it's going to kill you in about 3 years. So there's a dose of reality, a dose of humility. So I walked out of there and I thought, what better treatment for an alcoholic than a medically supervised drunk? Bring it on. That lasted until the end of the first treatment. What happens to an artery when you inject alcohol into it is that it burns it up. And it burns all of the tissue around it. And it burns up from the inside out. So it keeps deteriorating for a couple of weeks until it surfaces, and then you have this hole in your leg that is from burning. And it's incredibly painful. It was incredibly debilitating. It ended up taking 4 years of treatment. Treatment was no treat. To shrink my heart back to normal size and to get me back to a normal life expectancy. In that process, they did hit a nerve. I was paralyzed from the knee down completely. I had no movement, no feeling in my left leg. You wouldn't know that today. I did a lot of study around healing and around what it takes to heal. I got real with my higher power and my own practice. At one point after they had hit the nerve, my husband, who struggled through all of this with me, worked 2 jobs, and it was very hard on our family. My mother moved from Texas to North Carolina to help take care of us. I had to walk with a walker after each one of these 14 different treatments over this. At that time, the treatments went for 3 years, and then I had a major surgery that was 12 hours long, where they cut off my belly, cut the malformation out of my leg, and sewed my whole belly onto my leg. They took a vein from the back of my calf to hook it all together. So I woke up in ICU with over 200 staples holding my body together. And after that was the last year. In the middle of this, when I was paralyzed, was another sentence I'll never forget. And that was, "You're a liability to me now. You'll never be able to raise our daughter, and we need to sue them, and we need to make them pay." And they were still in the middle of my treatment. I was still fighting for my life. I said, "No, we are not going to sue them. They are saving my life, and I'm not done yet." And our marriage kind of deteriorated from there. It was very hard. At one point, during all of these treatments, I would have a treatment. It would be horrible. I couldn't walk without a walker for a couple of weeks, and then I would get stronger, and then I could do a few things while my body was healing, and then I would go back in for another treatment. And during that, I managed to finish going to university, and my mother there supporting me and helping me, taking care of my daughter and taking care of me right after each one of the treatments. And then I would get stronger after the nerve was damaged. I had to walk with an AFO splint, which is a prosthetic to keep my foot from flopping around, but I could walk with it. Anyway, I was going to AA still, and trying to do my best with treatments that some people didn't understand. I wasn't drinking, I wasn't using. I was having to have some incredible medical treatments, and I was in a lot of pain. I had to manage that somehow. So I did it the best way I could. There was someone in the rooms who had also had a really bad car accident and almost lost his leg. And his inspiration and support was very important to me at that time. And in fact, I think helped me survive that period of my life. However, this was discovered by my husband, and he was in the Coast Guard at the time. So he and all of his buddies did a bunch of surveillance, and I ended up in a small community, having some pretty severe public humiliation around that, and having to walk through all of that and try to deal with the moral injury of that. Our marriage didn't survive. In 1995, which was 5 years after my diagnosis, and finally got through that last surgery. I had one more to kind of shape my leg a little bit better, but it was not bad at all. A few months after that, my mother passed away without warning of a heart attack, and she had been my support, my lifeline. it was a devastating loss for me. And during that year, my husband bought a house. We moved into that house. Then we divorced. Then I moved out, got another house, and then my mother died, and I ended up moving into her house. At the same time, my daughter was diagnosed with learning disabilities. Imagine that she couldn't learn through all that was happening. So that was the hardest year of my life, really. Even though I had gotten through all of the fighting for my life, I lost my marriage, moved 3 times, lost my mother, and really tried to have to figure out how to show up for my daughter better. My mother and I had started a little business together during this time, an art, we called it the Art Foundry, Water Street Art Foundry. And we had, it was a large warehouse we turned into artist studios, and different artists rented space from us, and we had a little gallery. My mother worked it during the times that I was recovering, on the upper end of the recovery, stronger, before I went back in. And so I kept that going for a couple of years after she passed, but she was the business mind behind that, and I didn't really didn't enjoy doing that part of it. So I packed up all of the stuff, and we sold, asked the artist to move out, and sold what I could. Finally finalized the divorce in 1996. And by 1998, my ex-husband was out of the Coast Guard, and he was pretty out of control with his own using. I decided that we were going to do something different. So I had a friend at the time that was a locational analyst. I had a small inheritance from my mother, and we went to the beach. My daughter and I moved to Anguilla, British West Indies in the Caribbean, and just to take a break. American culture was getting its hooks into her in ways that I couldn't combat. I wasn't strong. I was really hurt and very weak and very lost. And she was hooked by materialism and competition and the frustration of not being able to learn the same way as her peers, even though she's absolutely brilliant. So she's hyper intelligent and yet struggling so much in school. It was not. It was really hard for her self-esteem. So we decided to go to the beach, and we were going to stay 1 year, and we ended up staying 2. We spent the changing of the millennial, Y2K, and oh my God, is the world going to blow up on an island? If the world's going to blow up, we might as well be on an island. And yeah, I did a lot of soul searching there, and walked the beach and tried to figure out, what is this life about, and who am I, what do I want? And I honed in on the 3 things that spark me the most, and that is art and healing and spirituality. And I looked around on the internet trying to figure out what brought all of those things together, and I found art therapy and Southwestern College in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And so after 2 years, the world not blowing up. We went back to North Carolina, packed up our house, and moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico. I never really imagined myself as an art therapist. I just chose to study what I loved. And it has been my honor and my joy to do this work, to sit with people as they go through whatever their life brings to them. I say there is no judgment here. You will not find judgment from me. I know what it is like to have to recover from doing and being things that you can't even imagine that you've done or been. And growing out of that and coming to joy and to magic and to power and to love. It's quite a journey, and everyone makes it in their own way. And that's a little bit of my story. That's a little bit of how I made it. So yesterday we filmed the majority of my story, and the incredible individuals helping me film this and hold the space for me as I'm doing this posed a question. And it was, do you need to tell your story? And I sat with that last night, and I came to the knowing that I don't need to tell this story anymore. That I am not my story. But I want you to know my story so that you can see you are not your story either. We are all incredibly complex beings, having an incredibly complex experience here, made up of thoughts and emotions and experiences and judgments and learning and education and loss and grief and pain and trauma. And all of that comes together in us in unique ways. 7.5 billion people on this planet, 7.5 billion different stories, and all similar, all human. We're human beings. We're going to get it right sometimes, and we're not going to get it right. We're going to do really amazing things, and we're going to do really hurtful and stupid things. And the thing is that we have to come to terms with that in ourselves and decide, how are we going to live our lives? Are we going to live our lives in shame? Or are we going to live our lives in joy? And I feel incredibly guided and gifted and grateful to have arrived at this place in my life where I can live from joy, and I can live from a place of trying to give my very best to you all, to this planet, to any person that I come into contact with, and to myself. If I can't give it to me, I can't give it to you. And I really invite you to take that in and give it to yourself. Give yourself a break. You know, and when we're using and we're drinking and we're drugging, we're doing all kinds of hurtful, stupid, dangerous things. And to get sober and have to own up to that, it's hard. It hurts to know ourselves at our worst. And it takes time to heal that, and it takes patience and care and love and forgiveness and determination that those things will not define me. They will not define you. They don't define you. Your experience is not who you are. Who you are is your heart, your intention, your way of being on this planet, your way of walking through your life. And I've learned a few things. I've learned a lot in my life. I started out incredibly naive and ignorant and projected upon and controlled. Just to find my voice was a major accomplishment for me. To be able to change the way that I lived my life through sobriety was a major accomplishment. To educate myself and try to understand, to deal with the rage that I had inherited from 3 generations of very rageful people. I don't feel that rage anymore, but I can feel honest anger, and I can respond to it in a way with boundaries or my voice or what I feel like is appropriate. And all of that has been an incredible learning experience. I wish that for anyone, if my life could serve you all, that's what I would want. And that's the intention behind my boxes. It's the intention behind my work, is that I give you something that can serve you in your life. You don't have to go through what I had to go through to learn it all. I hope for you that. I hope you will look into my boxes and see if they have anything for you. I just want to part and end this with a thank you. A thank you to that mysterious part of this existence that cannot be really named or understood, for bringing me here and for allowing me to live this life.
And now we bring you some stories from some really amazing and powerful women in our community. Women who have built services and programs for us and who have dedicated their lives to recovery. We'll be hearing first from Melisha Montaño. She's the director of the Office of Peer Recovery and Engagement. If you know Melisha as well as I do, you know she does not hold back. She's got a wonderful story. We also have some poetry for you in this segment. We have Melanie Weidner. Now, she knows that words are powerful, and she uses them in a beautiful way to help people heal their lives. And we have Jennifer Wise, a mother who created a program after losing her son. This program saves lives daily. Thank you, Jennifer. Your work is really needed and very, very special to us. We also have a few stories from Crossroads for Women. Now, Crossroads is a program that is designed to help women rebuild their lives after incarceration. And we've got Taren Hill. She's going to be doing this wonderful dance for you. She's a peer support specialist and a dancer with a special quote. She tells us, recovery is about finding your own special magic. Recovery is finding that special something that gives your life purpose and meaning. Thank you for the men and women in our community who have dedicated their lives to recovery and who are helping souls every day regain their lives. Enjoy this next segment.
Hi, my name is Melisha Montaño. I am a CPSW, certified CPSW for the state of New Mexico, and recent program manager for the Office of Peer Recovery and Engagement. I'm a woman in long-term recovery, and my story has many twists and turns. I got clean and sober on 7/17 of 2010, and what that looked like for me was a lot of jails, a lot of institutions, and there's a third thing that happens for people like us, and I'm so blessed to be sitting here today, being able to give back to a community of amazing peers and living a life beyond my wildest imagination. by all statistics, I shouldn't be able to even be above ground right now, but I thank my higher power. I thank the love of my peers before they were even called peer support workers that just have faith in me that I could do this. And if I watched them walk, then I could gain legs. I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, and I'm a daughter today to two amazing parents who never gave up hope on me. I have two brothers that love me, and I have a niece and nephews who adore me. I never thought that getting clean and sober and that my story would benefit anyone. You see, when you're a female and you're given the gift of life, and alcohol and drugs and whatever comes with that strips you of being a mom, there's got to be something really wrong. So I had to search. I had to search really, really deep and swallow some big chunks of truth about Melisha. And I had to be willing to not be so angry because of the shame that I carried, because I could not be the mom that God intended me to be. My son is now 37. He was taken away from me when he was 9, but he was raised with a lot of love, and he now lives a life with his family, and he's a dad, and I have a beautiful amazing daughter-in-law who's a great mom. But for me, that's not my story. My story is a lot of hardship around being a mother, and what could have been. But I didn't give up. And so my message to moms out there, especially moms that are incarcerated, is that you're not alone. And that together we can do this. And that my experience may help you not have your sons and daughters taken away. Because that was one of the hardest things, if not the hardest thing, that was taken from me because of my addiction to everything. Later on, I found out that there was trauma involved and that I did the best I could do. And when I was able to forgive myself with the love of a family and females that would not give up on me, then life became a little bit easier. And today I have a message. I have a message of hope for anyone struggling, that recovery is possible, and that hope really means to hold on because pain ends.
In times of crisis, we need to remember there is so much more to our story. We can care, imagine, and work together. So I want to offer this dream and vision I've been given as a meditation for change and hope. Storm journey. Stability. We wish our lives were safe and easy. Threat. We see danger coming. Resistance. We want to make fear go away, but that's not what our strength is for. Welcome. We engage and show up for the challenge when and how we can. Storm. We know our lives are forever changed. Saved. We give thanks for life, yet remember others are suffering. Lost. We allow our real and deep feelings, grief, loss, anger, despair, and admit it when we don't know what to do. Busy. We cope by doing, noticing when that's for healing and when it's for distraction. Trying. We catch ourselves repeating old habits or rebuilding harmful systems. Fail. We say it when we failed, and we let go of whatever does not serve. Surrender. We give up trying and realize that we aren't in control. Insight. We see our situation with new eyes and fresh imagination. Response. We follow our inner wisdom and discover a different way. Flight. We are lifted to a higher perspective and wider compassion. Kindred. We encounter other souls who want to give and think big. Circle. We learn from each other and gain strength. Wings. We trust ourselves and our companions to reach for a better world. Scent. We move toward truth, justice, care, connection, and creativity. Touch. We find inspiration as we dream and listen to our hearts and souls. Return. We bring our insights back to others in service of all of us. Inspire. We give away what we've learned to help and empower others. Whole. We respond with openness and joy to transformation and healing, even when it's hard to do. Gather. We join together in respect and gratitude, including everyone in our abundance. Story. We tell each other stories of hope about how we can come through storms. Rise. We remember who we are and who we can be when we work together. Change. We speak and act with courage to create a future where we all belong. Let's envision the world we want to live in and rise to make the changes. We all belong in a story of hope.
Hi everybody, my name is Melisha. I am the Poetry Program Director here at Warehouse 508. And what we do for poetry is we run a satellite poetry program in 5 to 8 different schools depending on the semester from fall to the spring of every school year. The program started off small. I used to be the only volunteer going into Albuquerque High's Poetry Club and performing and teaching how to write poetry. And then, with hard work and dedication of our community, we were able to grow and expand the program to where now it's 8 different poets and 8 to 5 different schools receiving poetry workshops every week. So this program is super important because it teaches young people how to express themselves creatively, how to be socially aware of others, how to be empathetic, how to relate to one another, how to engage and build community, and how to use communication skills with performance and public speaking. And so we really value this program a lot. A lot of the young people that come through this program realize that there's many doors open and opportunities for them to become the best version of themselves, even if they don't become poets in the long run. So today you're gonna hear from 4 incredible human beings. They are some of Albuquerque's finest youth poets who are getting older each day, but have still decided to come and give you guys some really powerful and amazing poetry. The group of individuals that you'll see today have competed internationally at the Brave New Voices International Youth Poetry Festival in 2019 in Las Vegas, Nevada. That summer, we drove a van all the way to the scorching hot desert in Nevada to compete against 72 other teams from around the world. Out of 72 other teams, we made semifinals and made it into the top 20 teams. And then we competed into 3rd place in our final bout, leaving us 12th place in the entire world for best youth teams. So we are super proud of these young people. Not only did they take 12th place in the entire world, but they were also invited to perform on the final stage as sacrificial poets because their poetry was about Indigenous and Black women who have gone missing. And so you'll hear that poem today because it's super important to both our Black community and our Indigenous community, as well as other poems that speak to the identity that is New Mexico, that is Albuquerque, that is this community. So stick around for that. I know you'll enjoy them. Their names are Kayla Janae, Licia Salazar, Emily Jaramillo, and Yuvia Tafoya, and I know you'll enjoy their poetry.
Indigenous woman, with breath of hummingbird wing beat behind her tongue.
Black woman, with the heart of a lion, strength of all generations in her footsteps.
Warriors alive in her lungs, she was birthed from the earth.
Fire in her bloodline, she was birthed from the sun.
Sisterhood stacked like vertebrae, she is a backbone of survival in this matriarchal society. She is a purifier of generational trauma.
Crushing it with each contraction.
Reproduction has always been a rebellious act. Revolt is alive now more than ever. Sustainability is no longer a dream but a way of life. A normalcy, the way missing persons reports are now normalized, the way crime scenes,
including families
and missing daughters are now conventional. This is a war on Black and brown women. Our names are being replaced by numbers, media coverage is selective. My whole existence deserves an Amber Alert. It is no coincidence that our hometown is ranked number 1 in the highest number of reported cases. Native American women make up a mere 0.9% of the U.S. population, but 90% of those women have experienced violence in their lifetimes.
African American women make up only 13.6% of the population,
but make up 36.8% of all missing women cases in the U.S. When the percentage of my existence is lower than my chances of survival, standing on this stage is a radical act.
This trauma is alive in our blood.
Our lifeline has been threatened since the time of colonization.
You tell us to go back to where we came from, but you took me from my land.
And you took my land from me. We have been here.
We are still here.
We will remain here. These roots have always been planted deep, but it's been our job to nurture them
into more than just your stereotypes.
More than your statistics.
More than your numbers.
Numbers. Screw your numbers.
We are activists. Ruby Bridges.
Red Fawn.
We are politicians.
Deborah Holland.
Shirley Chisholm.
We are artists.
Nina Simone.
Lila June. We are poets. Joy Hardrow.
Maya Angelou.
We are survivors. Centoya Brown.
Southern trees, bearing strange fruit, blood on the leaves.
Ufiatan, tunang lampis. Timpawan uyuhim ay, ipakuan, kitu ay itan ay. It is us. We are the survivors promising ourselves forever, ensuring that our legacies remain perpetual. Our women have always nurtured beauty from our tribulations. You cannot will our existence into a disappearing act. We rise in the words of Nikita Gill. The ghosts of all the women you used to be are so proud of who you have become. I cry when I see thoughtful wedding proposals on Facebook. I cry when I think of lost dogs. I choke up at father-daughter dances at wedding receptions. I love hearing babies laugh. I get goosebumps hearing the thunder and lightning in a grandmother's voice when they say grace at family holidays before we sit down to have a meal. I'm thankful when prayers are answered. I'm thankful when they're not. I like seeing the underdog win. I secretly root for them even when they're up against my team. Most days, I am an underdog. Most days, I fall short. Most days, nobody really understands, so I have the audacity to label myself misunderstood. Some days, I label myself no good. Some days, no good is good enough. I get tired of pleasing people. I'm a people pleaser, but I ain't no doormat, and I have my mama to thank for that. I'm more of an open door. Not to be mistaken for an open book. I won't let you read everything about me. I gotta trust you first. By open door, I mean I'll literally hold the door open for you. And I don't expect you to say thank you. I'm just a firm believer that making people's lives a little easier throughout the day makes the world seem like it's not on fire all of the time. I'm not a firefighter, but if I can extinguish one person's pain with a poem, you bet your butt I'll write that poem over and over again. I'll write a poem for you. But it will really be for me. I don't know if that makes me selfish or selfless. I like friends who go on roller coasters with me. I like friends who would punch my name right out your jealous mouth. I have friends and they are all gunpowder and firecrackers, sage crystals and brujeria, old dirt roads and riverbanks, Zia tattoos and chimichangas at all subs, all tooth and cackle when we laugh. I have friends and they make the best mirrors. Reflections aren't always beautiful, but they're real, and really I dream of looking in a mirror and seeing the ugliest parts of myself. I almost become unrecognizable. That's one of my deepest, darkest fears. See, I shared something I don't always share out loud. You're welcome. Maybe I am an open book. Maybe I swear too much. Maybe I chew with my mouth open. Maybe I'm a mama's girl and my dad's first real dance with love. By the way, I love my parents' love story. By love story, I mean they divorced when I was 12. But if they hadn't, I wouldn't know the beauty of letting something go so that it can grow into what it's truly meant to be. That's real love in my book. All this to say, I got real love all around me. I'm not ashamed to be soft or broken or wounded, but I used to be, because often, too many times, girls like me get called weak if we aren't being tough every second of the day. I get tired of being the tough girl, but somebody's got to do it, you know? I know you see me and you see hard-headed, thick skin and a mouth with a switchblade for a tongue, always with my fist in the air and the loudest voice in the room, even when I'm trying not to be. I want you to know that I cry in the shower weekly. I tear up when I hear Tennessee whiskey on the radio. I'm so very angry at all the things I cannot control, but I ask for the serenity to accept them. I've been taught how to move forward, and yet it's always the hardest lesson for me. I believe that all things happen for a reason. I believe I'm here for a reason, learning how to cut open a little more each day on the inside, y'all. I am all love. I am loved. I love with everything I have in this life. I love that I'm alive. Hello, my name is Mercedes. How are you?
Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Then God said, let there be light. It was at that moment I was created. I was here before the winter moon first rose, before God made man and woman in her own image. Yes, I've met God, and she's black. I have this strong connection to the moon, and the stars are only a reflection of what I create. Yes, I am responsible for that glow, and my roots are deeper than all the oceans. I was first here. I witnessed the creation of Adam and Eve. I knew they wanted a taste of me. I knew they couldn't resist, so I tempted them. The serpent was only slithering by, but that part always gets lost in translation. I could show you every piece of the world with explanation, I swear to you. My soul runs deep. Deep like the rivers Langston spoke of. At one time, I learned the language of the butterflies, traded life stories with the sunflowers blossoming from my veins, and so I've learned that beauty is not a shade, but an amount of confidence in the skin that you carry. A black girl's image does not align with society's definition of beauty, so she thinks that she needs correction. That melanin equals imperfection. If only a black girl knew that her skin is beautiful too. That her thighs are not a sin, and original curves do not only look good on synthetic white women. That her body was slowly molded by the hands of her God into her own image. What if a black girl knew? That her nose is wide because a nose is not meant to be cute. It's meant to help you breathe, and they tell you, black girl, you're lucky you're still breathing. Like it's a privilege. Like Sandra. Like say her name, like Sandra Bland. I said say her name, you took her breath. She could not breathe, and all of black America is suffocating because of it. Black oppression is not over, it's just being hidden. The problem with America is there are too many stories to tell, and it's a lot harder to be heard when you no longer have a voice. God is a black woman. I too am a black woman made in her image, and I will not be silenced. I will create a hurricane, destroying everything in its path. The sunflowers blooming from my veins will turn to flames, and my voice will create an everlasting fire, because like Audre Lorde once said, your silence will not protect you. So don't drown yourself in it. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
My heart is bleeding. Our bodies are bleeding. America is bleeding, flooding the streets of this nation, a constant fight to repair the wounds of generations before us. My people thought as blood as a sacrifice to the gods. Now our blood is just a sacrifice to stay alive, a constant battle for Black men all across this nation, a battle that shouldn't even be a battle in the first place. Leaving the house with a reminder of how to protect yourself from someone who's supposed to protect you, but instead murders you in broad daylight, rapes women in ICE concentration camps, and neglects reporting missing person cases of those who lived here before them, those whose holy land has been poisoned with bigotry and hatred and diseases called systemic racism and oppression. Built by those who were stolen from their home, America was built on stolen land, enslaving millions of innocent people, and because of it, we've all become slaves to this reprehensible constitutional power. Our people were born tired, waking up from never-ending generational trauma, a different nightmare every day, every hour, unsettled minds crying for rest, crying for peace, crying for justice, crying for freedom, for love, for any little bit of light that may shine through the stormy clouds, a glimpse of hope when we see someone who looks like us step into office, Senate, and any other position of power, a step forward to rebuilding a system that will serve justice for all. This country was built on the dead bodies of sacred people, a continuous genocide to this day, a horror that shouldn't but unites us together. Without the blood, sweat, and tears of Black, Latinx, and Indigenous people, America would not have ink to write its slaughtered story. Our locked arms are stronger than any cage you put us in, more powerful than the tear gas you used to spray us with, more resilient than Flint, Michigan's water trying to cleanse itself from your mistakes. We are the foundation of this country, the building blocks of popular culture, the 64% of those living in poverty. Blacks and Latinos make up nearly 32% of the US population, but are 56% of all incarcerated people. In 2012 alone, the US spent nearly $81 billion in corrections. Police protect capital more than they protect their own people, would rather arrest thousands of peaceful protesters than arrest their own who are clearly guilty of murder. How many Black mothers have to mourn from their sons being shot? How many Latino families have to be separated and tortured? How many Indigenous sisters have to go missing to be noticed? How many bodies will it take to protect Black and brown lives? Unlike bullets, humans are not replaceable. Unlike politics, our fight is not corrupt. Unlike white supremacy, we stand in solidarity. None of us are free until we stand with our Black brothers and sisters. I cry for every person whose life has been lost due to the negligence and hatred of this country, those whose names who haven't been mentioned. This isn't an eye-opener, but a cry for help, a pleading beg to end this cycle, and a page flooded with tears, waiting to stop washing the blood.
The funny thing about death is, a dead poet's work lives a better life than they ever did. Features become another one-night stand with a different microphone, and the most memorable thing about her was her work, and not her name. When I die, write she tried on my tombstone, write intergenerational heartbeats, love is light skin, name narrative text I couldn't send, you know you're native when you see. I don't know why I feel like I can't articulate thoughts like the poet you saw. Inferiority in poetry is not supposed to feel like this. Hopelessness in poetry is not supposed to be spelled like this. A vendetta in poetry was never supposed to happen. She was not supposed to be murdered like this. Syllables no longer build bridges from my tongue to my head, and the truth is that the point was never the point or the poetry. It was finding a reason to speak, because speaking means breathing, so the moment my brain goes quiet, we're all in trouble, because sometimes even the revolution feels like giving up. And if you can't feel your own words, you're the worst kind of dead. Heart still beating, but it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't recognize your soul anymore. I no longer possess the ability to hide behind metaphors. She turned to I, and I am scared. She isn't who she thought she would be. Like codependency did bite and claw and scream in her throat until it was raw. Like history is only something you share and not fight your way through. Like prescriptions encased in candy-coated shell are engraved with your lover's name, but foam out of your mouth and down your cheek with a different one. And it's funny that this started with insecurity and morphed into nostalgia, because sometimes they are one in the same thing, and she is not the same, because history likes to play freeze tag, and she wishes I wasn't it. She doesn't choke on guilt-flavored lilies anymore, doesn't gasp awake starved of touch, or you doesn't play checkers with every poetry journal she's ever spat in, doesn't bathe in mirror shards, praying to God that the reflection would just go away. She's a jump rope with tight twisted strings of her own tears. She doesn't exhale envy and watch us swirl higher and higher in the cold weather. Breathe. Breathe. And for once, don't choke on air that is not your own.
If the ocean said she was thirsty, would you give her water? Or would you let her somehow drink herself to fulfill thirst? Only to see that she was taking away something she didn't have enough of already. Slowly but surely, she will die of self-decay. If you ask the ocean for some water, would you be grateful that she decided to help you? Or would you just get more thirsty by the taste and strip away her waves? If you wanted to see inside the ocean, would you even ask permission to enter? Or just try to swim to the bottom, knowing she couldn't stop you? When you told the ocean you could see right through her, did you consider how you made her feel as though she could be vulnerable with you? Even if you didn't put a grain of truth into your words. She observes jaws, waiting for your missing arm, sadly knowing everyone will be talking about your survival story. She will never strike you. She is too kind. With everything under her essence dying, she is too tired trying to help everything live once more. But what a joy it'd be to see you die.
I grew up in fear, and I was in an abusive relationship for 7 years. Only because I thought that was normal, because I saw my father do that. I thought that was love.
I was shot twice at close range. I was shot in my lip here. It went through my jaw, took out my whole jaw. It bounced off my chest where these lines are. And this is my heart. I was pronounced dead on the scene.
When I was 15, I had an extreme trauma happen to me that involved 2 men. I felt very powerless and very weak in that moment. After that trauma took place, I didn't know how to deal with it. So I began using, because that seemed to be the only thing that took the pain away. It took the pain, it took the hurt, it took the anger. Any emotion that I felt was numbed. And my life spiraled out of control from that point forward, because I became very addicted to power. I wanted to have power over anybody and everybody that I could. The more power I had over another person, the better I felt about what had happened to me.
I have been incarcerated 17 times, and I've been to prison twice. Some things that I think that led to my addiction was loneliness, being abandoned, because my mother was an addict, and so I've always craved attention. In order to defeat that addiction, I chose to sell drugs. And so with me selling drugs, I picked up charges and I was doing a lot of criminal activity. I had to adapt to survive in prison by molding myself to be very strong and very dominant and sometimes aggressive and outspoken and rude. And that's not who I am, but I had to in order to make it through.
I was arrested for shoplifting many times. I did everything I could to support my habit, but to support my children. I would steal food. I would steal clothes, but it just led me into prison eventually. When I was being released, trying to look for a program or a community to go to parole out to was hard. There wasn't many options for women.
Well, being released from prison, some of the challenges that I faced was getting my kids back and not really having any resources for them, childcare, not even having a vehicle to get them to school. One of the challenges of trying to find a job of being released was my background, because most employers do not like to hire felons. And the experience that I had was overqualified, but I had no choice because no one would hire me because of my previous convictions.
So what keeps us returning to incarceration is, for me, pain over pain, the shame, the guilt, and no place to go. So there's nothing to come out to but the streets. And that's why we do what we do.
Crossroads has literally saved my life. I feel like I have that family that I didn't have when I was younger. I have that support that I didn't have when I was younger. No matter what I go through, I can talk to anybody here about anything.
Crossroads has given me my life back continuously. I can come here and it's a safe place.
The impact that Crossroads had on me was amazing. Crossroads taught me to believe in myself and to accept who I am.
Crossroads has given me the tools that I need to find housing and a job, and Crossroads has given me the tools that I need to figure out who I am.
One of the reasons that I love this place is because we're trauma-informed. And trauma-informed means that we really sit with the human in front of us, without judgment and with understanding of their life story.
Well, to understand how trauma affects addiction, which affects incarceration, it's important to recognize that just imprisoning someone because they're using a substance or because they're caught with paraphernalia without looking at what are the root causes of their use, you're not able to impact recidivism.
Unfortunately, we see women who have been arrested and incarcerated. They don't just pay for their crime once, they pay for it over and over again. Even after they've done the time, abided with probation and parole, they're still facing obstacles to their housing, to employment. When everybody else says no and closes their doors, Crossroads says yes, come on in.
Wraparound services are offered because we offer 7 domains. We offer legal, independent living, medical, substance abuse, mental health, vocational, and family. If you hit those domains and you're really working in those fields, you've got a person who is well-rounded.
Crossroads really focuses on giving special attention to each part of a person.
First, you need stability and safety. Once you get that stability and that safety of having a home for you and your children, you can now focus on mental health. You can focus on your sobriety. You can focus on rebonding and working your family dynamics and breaking those cycles that caused you to be in the place you were before.
There are many obstacles to a woman being able to be hired and employed when she gets out of prison. Starting right off with documents, driver's license, birth certificates, all of those things that you need. So in the vocational program, we work at length with the women on how to speak about themselves. We coach them through giving their life stories and focusing on their successes. We address the past, but we focus on the future. We focus on the present. We focus on everything that they're doing now, all of the hard work they're putting in to achieve their goals.
I didn't believe in myself, but the staff here believed in me. I'm an intern today, and I'm learning computer skills. I work with admin. It's been good. I got a new way of living.
I work with women on budgeting and financial planning. We review a budget. We identify what their savings goal is going to be, how they can maintain that savings goal, and what barriers may arise. Through budgeting and planning for savings goals, they've been able to save money to be able to get an apartment and a vehicle a lot of times when they leave.
So dual diagnosis is when someone is diagnosed with a mental health disorder such as depression, major depression, PTSD, and then there's also a dual diagnosis of substance abuse addiction.
The mental health, they see psychiatrists, they go to counseling, they get that support. The chemical dependency, we have them go to 12-step meetings such as AA and NA groups to help with that.
Women that have been incarcerated, you know, they're not losers, they're not lazy, they're not uncaring people. They love their families. They just don't have the skills to function properly without support.
I think at the foundation of the philosophy of Crossroads for Women is the understanding that women navigate the world differently than men. And we have different needs. So gender responsive is the understanding that their world is comprised of the relationships in which they build. So we're very relational.
There's just so many relationships that are hurt in the process of the addiction and the incarceration. And when a woman gets out of incarceration with no support, then they don't know how to start rebuilding those.
Crossroads gave me a second chance by pushing me for greatness. Staff constantly told me, you're gonna be great, you're gonna do great, you're a leader. And I was not trying to hear that at all. But just that push put me in a position to want more. They put me in a position to learn more. So, I became an intern and I worked my way up. And so they gave me a second chance when no one else would.
All these facets that I carried with me, they accepted them with open arms. And I felt comfortable being in my own skin for probably the first time in my life.
I love if I get the chance to meet women and their kids are often so proud of their moms for being in this program. So full, you can see it in their eyes.
Oh my God, my kids are so happy. They are so ecstatic that they have their mom back. I'm so happy that they accepted me in this program because I've actually succeeded in a lot more than I ever done before in my life.
We believe women can recover
from trauma
and other painful experiences.
We believe that women have the ability to heal
and move on with their lives.
We believe everyone deserves a new start.
And second chances.
And second chances.
And second chances.
And second chances. And second chances.
If you struggle with addiction or believe you may have a problem with substances or behaviors, this online program offers you a new, innovative opportunity to access help. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on most mobile-friendly devices like smartphones, tablets, as well as most computers that have a high-speed internet connection. You can access the content anytime you want, wherever you want. And best of all, you can access it right now for free. While there are opportunities to provide information about yourself and receive customized feedback, you also have full access to the program while remaining completely anonymous if you so choose. The program is not a substitute for attending treatment, but not everyone who uses substances or engages in addictive behaviors needs it. This evidence-based educational program will help you better understand addiction, assess your own behaviors, and provide you specific guidance and tools to help you no matter where your behaviors land on the spectrum of problems. Whether you've been to treatment or not, you have nothing to lose by checking out a few short, engaging videos and seeing for yourself whether the information is of use to you. None are longer than a few minutes, and while the program is organized into modules, please know you're free to skip around and watch videos and engaging content in whatever order you choose. This program addresses all addictions, both substance and behavioral, together as a package, because stopping one addiction only to engage in another will keep you stuck. It also will help you understand that addiction for most begins early in life, and that many factors, genetics, attachment, trauma, and other adverse childhood experiences play a role in both the origin of addiction and keeping you stuck today. Even more, you will learn that by addressing these underlying issues, you can overcome addiction. There is so much more. Log in right now and see for yourself the future of addiction help.
Hi, my name is Gary Mendez and I suffer from schizophrenia. I have never spoken out loud about my illness, I guess it's because I'm still partially in denial. This is a very tragic thing to admit to myself, much less to others. I'm still hesitant to go into details about my symptoms and experiences, but I do want to help so that others suffering know that they are not alone and so that they know there are people who understand and who care. I have a long way to go to recovery, but I've seen progress over the last few years, and now I want to give people hope. NAMI Santa Fe has made a positive impact on myself, and they have helped my mom, Melisha, in many ways. Creating awareness is the first step. Thank you, NAMI Santa Fe.
To me, recovery is about finding your own special magic. Recovery is finding that special something that gives your life meaning and purpose. For me, it is a combination of dancing and peer support. The song I'm dancing to is Nothing More by the Alternate Routes. To me, it beautifully describes the mutual support we give each other as peers. When I was a girl, Christmas Eve service ended with a midnight ceremony of lighting candles. One candle lit a second candle, and the second candle lit a third. The light spread out as each candle lit another. Peer support is like that. The person I support today supports another person tomorrow. Peer support is to give in such a way that has no end, because we are always stronger together.
To be humble, to be kind, it is a giving of the peace in your mind. To a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. And to be bold, to be brave, it is the thinking that the heart can still be saved, and the darkness can come quick. The danger's in the anger and in the hanging on treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other.
Be the candle that lights the world.
Well, okay, everybody, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us this year for 2020 Stronger Together. We've had an amazing time bringing you videos from across the state. We hope you're inspired. We hope you're staying safe. And we thank you so much for attending this session of Voices and Images of New Mexico. I want to thank all the people who submitted videos. Thank you for your beautiful work, for sharing your lives with us. You're an inspiration. I want to thank all the people who offered support through virtual booths. You guys, thank you so much for the work that you've done. I want to thank the Behavioral Health Planning Council for the work that you do every day for the state of New Mexico to make sure that recovery is always at the forefront of all of our minds. Of course, BHSD, the staff there, work tirelessly to bring us this work. And our sponsor, the New Mexico State Opioid Response Grant, thank you so much for offering us the funds to put this event together. We can do this together safely. And for all the people on the path to recovery, you are an inspiration. Thank you so much. We really appreciate spending this time with you. Now, be safe, wear a mask, wash your hands 6 feet apart. And we'll see you again next year. Bye now.